The following is a culture commentary quid pick labeled Social Science 3. Enjoy. The content is the problem. The algorithm is designed for one thing. That's the problem. It's retention. It keeps you on the platform. It knows what takes your time. It knows your patterns. Algorithm and this problem of retention. It knows your history. It knows and it uses all of that to keep you inside a loop you didn't ask to be in. And probably don't even know you're inside of. Every click is an input. Every watch time percentage is a data point. Algorithm processes those inputs and reshapes your environment in real time. That environment is dynamic by design. It's not a side effect. So that's the feature. So here's the question that drives everything we do. What happens when you need something outside that loop? What we offer as an aggregator is a static reference frame external to your existing search patterns or recommendation list. Unpack that slowly. Static. In an environment designed to be dynamic and self-reinforcing, what does it mean for something to be static? Your YouTube feed is not static. It is a feedback system. It responds to your behavior in real time. Every input reshapes what surfaces next. The system is designed to move. It's designed to keep moving. The aggregator's hypergraph, our indexed playlist architecture, doesn't respond to you. It responds to what I consume. It reflects who I am as an individual content consumer. My consume digest doesn't update because you clicked something. It doesn't shift because your watch history changed last week. It doesn't know you exist, and that's the point. Our reference frame is indexed into playlists and held fixed while your algorithm reshapes itself inside your behavior. The anchor stays put. That's what makes it static. That's the structural grounding of this term. Static is not a limitation. Static is a value proposition. Now, external. What does external mean in a closed ecosystem where the algorithm has already mapped your behavior? External means you are not pigeonholed by your own choices. The algorithm knows you well enough to know what takes your time. It uses that knowledge to give you more of it. The result is a closed loop, the narrow encapsulation of known knowns, the things you already know you're interested in. The algorithm has no incentive to show you what you're not looking for. That's not its job. External means we operate outside the reach of that conditioning. We provide hypergraph edges, connections to content you would never have searched for, never been recommended, never know how to look for. The unknown unknowns. You don't know what you don't know. We do, because we've been inside a different hypergraph, built from 70,000 watch hours of consumption, and we're packaging it for you. We are outside your filter bubble. We are outside your domain of awareness. We exist external to your existing search patterns and recommendation list. That's not positioning. That's the structural fact of what 2, 3, maybe 4 degrees of separation actually means in a social graph. The question is, what does that mean externally? And why does that matter externally? What does it make possible that staying inside your recommendation loop cannot? It makes hypergraph saturation possible. Hypergraph saturation, okay, working definition, is the accumulation of cross-domain edges between content you would have never otherwise connected. One link in graph theory is an edge between vertices. You click on a video, that click is an edge. That edge got you to that creator, to that piece of content. Hypergraph saturation means expanding the total surface area of those edges, reaching out into territory that your loop closed loop has structurally denied you. 8 billion people on this planet. Most of them you never encounter more than a minute, a fraction of a minute of what piece being produced and published in the hypergraph that day. They're siloed, not because we choose it, but because the algorithm chose for them. We extend the edges. So what is an aggregator? A content consumer turned content curator. Not a creator, not an author, a curator. At the core, an archivist. What I actually do is archive content by month, by category, by subject, by era. The playlist system at its structural base is an archive, and the archivist role is the one that maps cleanest onto the practice because it carries the weight of what we actually do without overclaiming. Authorship gives me too much credit for the structuring decisions. Most of that content is unconscious. It's encoded in 70,000 hours of consumption. It didn't come from deliberate literary decisions every time I added a video. It came from being inside the content the way I expect an expert is inside their domain. Absorbed, not constructed. Caretaker, I do that, but it's covered by Archivist. I take care of what I archive. That's not a separate role. That's what archivists do. Storyteller, yes. I tell stories through playlists. DJ, yes. I am a disc jockey for long-form content. Mediator, yes. I provide insight into the theory of mind of the content creator. Why they made what they made, why I placed it where I placed it in the architecture. But archivist is what I am. Everything else is a function I perform. Now, here's where it gets structurally interesting. Take a look at the screen. That is a social science quick pick, a category-specific quick pick. A lot of different social science concepts, some typology, a lot of typology, different aspects of depth psychology, jumping back into the content. Now, here's where it gets structurally interesting. The algorithm has one optimization target, time on platform. That's it. It is extraordinarily good at that one thing. Our playlist architecture has two. The first is the content itself. We want you to watch the content we consume so that we can build community around it, so we can discuss it, so we can create shared reference points across our audience. The second, and this is the counterintuitive one, is the titles and thumbnails themselves. Even if you never play a single video, even if you scroll through a playlist of 400 videos and watch none of them, the act of scrolling through those titles and thumbnails is itself informative. Take a look at the screen. It's a compressed hypergraph node. You're walking through a television guide for YouTube, built from a super user's consume digest. And even passive exposure to that architecture has value. Culture commentary from Social Science 3, a quick pick series. Continuing. In experimental design, a double blind is a step where one variable is baked in, hidden from both participants and the observer specifically to neutralize interpersonal feedback loops. The bias of interaction. In our context, the curator's consumption history, the archive itself, is a baked-in variable. You can see it from two directions. You can consume the content, or you can consume the metadata, the titles, the thumbnails, the playlists as a form factor. and use it to influence your algorithm without watching anything. One thing baked in, two avenues of perception. A triple blind extends the stakes. Two variables are baked in, the curator's history and the playlist structural logic together, and you can access value from three directions: the content itself, the metadata as a television guide, and the algorithmic tweak, using our titles and thumbnails as signals to train your recommendation system towards content you wouldn't even have found on your own. Even if you hate the videos, even if the videos feel too far outside of your consumed digest, the titles and thumbnails are still data points your algorithm can learn from. Two things baked in, three avenues of perception. That's the triple blind value structure of a well-built playlist system. Here's what I want to be honest about. The algorithm could serve you my content. At a level of scale, videos with 400,000 views, 1 million views, the algorithm has already reached those audiences. At that scale, there is genuine overlap. We would have probably hit the same people through different vectors. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't exist. But here's what the algorithm cannot give you. It can give you the video. It cannot give you the path. It cannot give you the sequence. It cannot give you the context of what it means to consume that video in the company of 400 other videos in a specific month of a specific year inside a specific category-specific quick pick. The algorithm can surface the content. It cannot surface the consumed digest that generated the curatorial decision. That's where, and that's the social graph argument here worth naming directly. I'm not fully outside the macro system. Listen, I'm not fully outside the macro system. The algorithm shapes what gets produced. I consume what gets produced. So in that sense, yes, macro trends and the algorithm amplifies, macro trends that the algorithm amplifies do reach me. I'm influenced at the macro level. I'm not immune to the hypergraph's gravitational pull on what gets made and surfaced at scale. But here's the distinction. My consumed digest does not update because of your behavior. I remain static as a content consumer, unaffected by your individual decision-making process with regards to your algorithm. The macro trends move through me. Your closed loop does not. That's the meaningful boundary. I exist outside of your filter bubble, even if I don't exist outside the cultural moment we're both inside of. The algorithm can serve you the content. It cannot serve you the aggregator. We've called this a TV guide for YouTube, as you can see on your screen. That metaphor works up to a point. A TV guide tells you what's going on. It lists everything. It exercises no curatorial judgment. It was passive. It was exhaustive. It didn't choose anything for you. The aggregator, specifically as an aggregator, is neither of those things. The curatorial judgment is present every time we make a sort decision. Every time we change the sort by date from date added oldest to date added newest to date published oldest to date published newest, which gives you a sequence of discovery. The order in which I added this content to my archive. To date published newest, which gives you the cutting edge of what the hypergraph is producing right now. To most popular, which gives you a consensus peak of what the collective has most watched. These sort modes are not algorithmic outputs. They're editorial decisions made by someone who has been inside the content domain long enough to know which frame of reference serves which kind of viewer. Date added is stratigraphy. It's the geology of consumption. Layers of decision over time. Readable in sequence. Day published is the live Hypergraph edge. It's the aggregator positioned in real time, showing you what was being produced and what was unfolding in a specific domain as the culture moved through it. The TV guide tells you what's on. An aggregator tells you how to go from zero understanding to expert level understanding in a domain you didn't know you were interested in. The aggregator walks you through the learning process the way a voracious content consumer would walk you through it, not because they built the perfect pedagogical sequence, but because the 70,000 hours are encoded in the architecture. The path is in the archive. The metadata is in the curriculum. That's what the aggregator tells you that the TV guide cannot. Listen, they lay down breadcrumbs. They lay down trails. They lay down tracks where there were no tracks. We're talking about content curators here. Content habituation pathways, consumption patterns, practices, and principles. The playlist is the node. The playlist is the edge. The playlist is the vector. We're acting as a hypergraph spoke, extending outward into content that was previously outside of your surface area, denied by your filter bubble, denied by your algorithm's certainty that it already knows what you want. Hypergraph saturation is the goal. Connecting disparate topics, connecting different people, one title and a thumbnail at a time. Chipping away at the stone until we've reached enough of the hypergraph that what was once outside your frame of reference is inside of it now. Until the unknown unknowns start to surface, until the edges accumulate, that is what an aggregator is. Not what they do, not what they produce, what they are in the ecosystem. A content consumer turned content curator. One title at a time, one title and thumbnail at a time. A content consumer turned content curator. One title and thumbnail at a time. If you've enjoyed this episode in the What is an Aggregator series, feel free to take a look at the content that we curate. On your screen now is a screenshot of our playlist series called Culture, Commentary, or Category Specific Quick Pick. That's the playlist series, Category Specific Quick Pick. On your screen now is a Culture, Commentary, Quick Pick, specifically Social Science 3, a Quick Pick series. There are over 260 videos in this playlist. A lot of it is typology, but it's social science in general. So if you've liked the content so far, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you for consuming it, and I hope it was valuable enough that you could put it in a playlist. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.